Alrighty, folks. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Let me pop over here. Hello, hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is VooDoo Val, and I'm going to be your host this morning for the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. This is challenge number 6. Number 6, y'all. Number 6. What up, Doe? What's up? What's up, RB? It's good to see you. General Kenobi, hello there. It's good to see you this morning. Susan, Frank, Sean, Annika, save your work. Andreas, it's good to see you. Cody Bear, the one and only. I think we also have Sam Peterson in the house this morning too. Welcome in, Sam. Tim Odari, Paula. Welcome in, everybody. It's good to see all of you folks. If you're wondering who I'm greeting this morning because you don't see these names in your chat, you are probably over on the YouTube channel. So please come over to behance.net/live. That is where I'm reading the chat. That's where all the cool folks are. That's where all the memes are happening. That is where everybody is sharing and making friends, having a good time. So please come on over. We should have a moderator post a link for you in the YouTube chat. That was normal size. I am normal size. I was very small before and I didn't realize that I was too small, but now I am large. Ralph, good morning. It's good to see you. Is it me or does Val look younger today? It's because I went out with my vampire friends yesterday evening and, you know, vampire shenanigans ensued. Anyways, Steve Festus, Gossip, it's good to see you. Richard, morning. Biola, welcome in. Ruth, hello. We are going to dive into how you can get started with the challenge with me, where you can get all of your starter files and all of that good stuff. We're going to pop in there, and then we're going to take a look at our challenge for today. We're going to dive into our starter files and all that good stuff. So let me pop over here. This is the landing page for the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. You can find this by going to behance.net/challenge/Photoshop. You will know that you are in the right place for these challenges is if at the top of the page it says January 3rd to January 28th. Those are the challenges that we're doing. If you are watching this in the future and when you come to this landing page it says a different date, all you have to do is scroll down here to the bottom, find the January 3rd to 28th challenge set, and you will get all of the challenge descriptions, all of the links to the previous videos, and you will also be able to click this Get Started button to download all of the starter files for that set. You get a little 1 through 4 of how it works, which you can follow to kind of get started, and every single day we have a challenge that unlocks early in the morning Pacific time. And you can come in here and see what the challenge for the day is. You can watch the video replay if you need to go back and review what I did. And you can also, as I said before, you can get this starter file for the challenge. So we're going to be doing minimalist shapes today. However, I noticed that Ted said, is there a phrase any less VooDoo Val than minimalist? And you're not wrong. You're not wrong. We are going to be doing clean minimalist shapes today, but we're probably gonna get a little crazy with it because, I mean, what would this be if we didn't get a little wild? So I'm going to go ahead and pop over to actually Adobe fonts, because we're going to be using an interesting font today. One of my very favorite fonts. If you head over to Adobe fonts, you can find Lust, the Lust font. This is a pretty fancy one that we're going to be diving into today for some title and heading text, which I'm pretty pumped about. We are also going to be using Montserrat, which you probably have if you've been following the challenges, but if not, you can also find Montserrat. Let's see, Montserrat. I think that's how you spell that. Yeah. You can also find Montserrat on the Adobe fonts, fonts.adobe.com. And this is a pretty hefty font set. This has got a lot of stuff in here, so definitely take a look at it. It's one of my, another one of my most favorite fonts. I just feel like it's a good font for headings. It's a good font for basic body text. Like it's a pretty well-rounded font. So check that out. And then let's dive into the Photoshop, shall we? Let's do it. So this is the challenge number 6. Starter file, and it says create and modify unique shapes with the puppet warp tool. Hey, then arrange your shapes and add gradients to create a trendy social post. So we're going to be doing something that looks a little bit like how everything is set up already in the starter file. We're going to be adding a little bit more text and design around the edges, and I'm very excited to jump into it. Also, I apologize. There's a small goblin in the form of a chihuahua scratching at my office door, and I'm not gonna let him in, so I apologize if you can hear him. He's very sweet and tiny, but he is not invited to this challenge. Let's see, let me make sure I'm not, I am not missing anything in the chat. You have Chantel, that does help. Oh, does that help? Yes, yes, yes it does. All right, so we are going to dive into how to create these shapes first of all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this little folder that I've made for you. I'm going to hide our little sun graphic, and I'm going to hide the info because we don't need to see any of that stuff right now. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to use basic shape tools and our pen tool, and we are going to come in and create some regular shapes that we can use to kind of do our puppet warp business here. I'm going to pop myself over to the other side of the screen because we are going to be kind of dabbling in these tools right here, and I want to make sure that you can see what I'm doing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a starburst, and we did do this in a previous challenge, but I'm just going to walk through it one more time. I'm going to drag out a, I think this is a hexagon. And I'm also going to change the color. Let's go ahead and change the color right off the bat instead of working with this orange and pink because it does vibrate a little bit. So I'm going to unhide my info, and I'm going to go ahead and sample this color because I like this maroon mauve color. We will rehide our info, come over to our polygon, and I'm going to go to fill and select that color that I sampled from my fill area. You also may want to make sure that your stroke is off. Mine is off by default because I never usually have it on, but that is a good rule of thumb as you do this, unless you want a stroke. But in my opinion, we are going to alter these shapes quite a lot, and I think that your design will turn out cleaner and better looking if you turn the stroke off, alter the shapes, and then if you want a stroke, you can turn the stroke on afterwards. So, pentagon, is it a pentagon? Oh yeah, you're right, because it's 5. I should know that because I know about League of Legends. I should know that. Shout out to my League fans in the chat. Okay. I am going to add some more faces to this shape. I'm gonna add 9. You can scroll up and add any number of different faces to this, but I think 9 is a good number for us today. I'm going to this little icon here that has our hex or our pentagon. I'm going to kind of crank this down as I'm gonna say pentagon again. The hexagon with the star in it, it basically indicates that you can add some more points to this and kind of pull them in. I'm going to crank that in about right there, I think, and I'm gonna make them a little longer than I want the design to be because I'm also going to round the edges, which is gonna make them a little bit shorter, okay? So that is how you can very quickly make a nice little star shape. So you don't have to grab the pen tool and do all these individually. You know that it's nice and symmetrical and clean. It's good stuff. And now we are going to actually, let's see, let's make a few more shapes. I could go ahead and puppet warp this, but I'd like to get all of our shapes down and then start editing everything. So we've got a nice little sunburst. Let's call this sun. Boom. Actually, I want that caps. I don't know why, but when I organize my my files or my layers in my layers panel, I always like to use caps lock. I'm not sure why that is, but that is preferable to me. So I'm also going to, let's drag this down here and let's Control G or Command G just to group it because I want to keep all these organized in a group. And I'm going to call this shapes. Okay, I'm gonna try to keep this organized right off the bat today. Now the next shape I am going to make is I'm just gonna grab myself the triangle tool, and let's draw a triangle out like this, okay? And we've got our fill color. I'm going to grab this little bracket here, and I'm gonna just, oops, I'm just gonna grab this and I'm gonna pull this down and around these edges like so. So we'll mess around with this shape, and then I think that it would behoove us to use the pen tool because we want something a little more intricate than this rounded triangle, but a little less intricate than this starburst, okay? So I'm gonna grab my pen tool. You can press P on your keyboard or just click the little pen tool icon there. And I'm gonna go ahead and make myself a little blob, okay? And I wanna make a blob because I don't know if you folks have ever run into this issue, but sometimes I do want to do like a blob type thing, you know, like I want a blob in my design, but I kind of feel like I want more variation than I'm able to get sometimes with my pen tool skills. Does that make sense? I want to be able to make something that looks a little wackier than something like this, and sometimes because I don't use the pen tool constantly, sometimes I feel like maybe when I do try to make something intricate with it, because of my experience with it, it's not as clean as I would like it between the points, and it takes practice. I think a lot of people have said in the chat that using the pen tool is not always easy for them, which reminds me, there's actually a Bezier curve game that you can play online that kind of teaches you how to use the pen tool and to get into the groove of creating things with it. So maybe we can get a link for that. Does anybody remember what that's called? Because it's a really great tool and I used it before. But I'm gonna do one of these, but using the puppet warp tool to create blobs is actually really, really intuitive. It's very, it's very easy to do. I'm gonna make another one of these strange bean shapes, and I'm going to just make it a little bit smaller. Something like this. Maybe not quite like that. Maybe we actually, oops. Hold on, I'm actually just going to start this one over, if I can. Can I? Can I? Delete layer. Boom. Yes, delete that layer. Thank you, Photoshop. All right, let's do another little strange bean shape. I think I want to drag this over like that. Let's go like this, and then let's kind of curve this out. Boom. So it's just a tiny bit smaller, a little bit different, give us a little bit of variation. Okay, I am going to drag this over here. I'm going to, if I can, I don't know, you know what, folks, I think I'm actually maybe having a issue here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to turn my face cam on, and I'm going to save this out, and I'm going to restart Photoshop real quick. How much time do we have? We're good. We are going to be fine. Let me go ahead and save. I'm going to close these. Boom. I'm going to close Photoshop. It'll just be a moment here. My apologies. Go ahead and load Photoshop. Thank you, thank you. In the meantime, I would love to know what you folks might do with this kind of technique. Do you guys use blobs in your design? I feel like blobs are something that they're not new, but I feel like it's something that oddly enhances a design, right? It's just like a strange blobby shape, but somehow throwing one of those like in the corner of a design that you're working on makes it look fuller somehow, and I enjoy it. I really do. Okay, I think we're good to go. Let me see. I think we are good. Okay. let me pop back over here. Okay, there we go. And I'm actually gonna move myself away from my layers panel. Okay, so we've got our second blob here. There we go. We've got all 4 of our shapes. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna convert each one of these into a smart object, because in order to use our puppet warp tool, we can't be editing an actual shape. So let's go ahead and convert these to smart objects. Boom. And now we're going to jump into puppet warp, and puppet warp is fun. I have many a time used puppet warp simply because it's kind of funny, especially if you use puppet warp on an image of a person. It's just funny. But I'm going to go up here with my sun selected, and I'm going to go edit, puppet warp, and we get this interesting little grid system kind of spider webbing across the surface of our shape. And we can come up here to the top and we can edit these grid formations. We can do rigid, normal, or distort, which I think that I am going to go ahead and do normal. The difference between rigid is going to be a lot more rigid in how you kind of start posing these little arms of this sun. Normal is normal, and then distort, sometimes when you move things, it will distort what is not directly under the point that you are articulating, which I'm going to get into now. So our density, we can do fewer points if we want. We can do normal points, or we can do more points. I'm going to go ahead and do more points because I want this to be as smooth as possible. And I'm not going to mess with any of the other things. Then I'm just going to hit enter, and I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to click to add points to the tips of all of our sun rays, okay? All of our little rays. And then I might also add a point to the base of each of these little arms so that I can edit it. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but now what I'm gonna do is I can actually grab this, check that out. I can actually start really making this, like posing this. It's like the ultimate free transform. It is like a manipulation of the shape in a way that is smart, and kind of alters. You can see as I pull this, it also alters what is around in other areas, which is really, really cool. And it just gives us, oops, didn't mean to place another point. It just gives us a lot of control over how we decide to alter it. And I am not going to be too terribly precious. I'm just going to move each of these points real quick. And I think that is good enough. And, you know, I might, at another time, I might make this a little more interesting, but for now this is great just to show you what we can do with it. I'm gonna go ahead and press enter. So now I have this super cool little strange shape that is very unique. We can do the same thing with the triangle if we go edit, puppet warp, and I'm going to place points on the ends here. We can go ahead and move this over, and as you can see, I can start to create a serious blob. And I feel like, for me personally, rather than only using the pen tool to create blobs, I could use the pen tool to create a shape and then warp it into something that is a little bit more dynamic, which is fun. So there we go. We got our little strange blob there. And these ones are already blobs. I don't know that I am going to use these ones specifically, but we can edit at least one of them. Let's go back to edit. Puppet warp, let's place some little points, okay? And then let's see what we can make here. I actually kind of like, we could make one that's maybe more bubbly, like bubble text-ish, if that makes sense. We can pull this edge in. I don't know if I love this, but just as an idea for, you know, what we can do. This is kind of interesting, kind of strange, but you do what you think is best for your project. Ooh, this point is not having a good time out here. I would say be careful with how you're placing your points so you don't get any pulling or tearing, but yeah, kind of gives you an idea. There we go. We got a strange little, little tube squiggle. Almost looks like a squeeze of toothpaste or something. And I'm gonna go ahead and I think I'm gonna hide this last one. I think that that's fine. We've got some interesting shapes. How much time do we have? We got about 5 minutes. Okay, so now that we have our shapes, I'm gonna go ahead and snag. Let's hide. I don't know if we're going to use the sun. Let's just use our simple shapes for now. We are going to grab this shape. I'm going to, oops, gonna make this. Oh, another thing. I'm going to convert this into Smart Object again, just so that I can, oops, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'll just rasterize it so that I can alter it without seeing all these changes. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the center here, grab our triangle. I'll rasterize that one as well. I'm going to resize this, and I'm just gonna stack. I'm gonna stack these strange shapes just because they're interesting. And I'm gonna go ahead and leave them like that. I might do a color overlay here for this one. Let's snag this color and let's maybe bump this up into like a different mauve color like that, just so that there's a strange stack of weird shapes here. And then we're going to throw some text on here. So let's come into, let's unhide our info. We might warp this around just slightly, or maybe this way. Make that a little bit bigger, just to give us kind of an interesting lineup here, because we're going to overlay some text onto it, you know. That's interesting. That works for me. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, let's grab our text tool, and let's say something like Adobe Live, if we can. Oh, you know what? I'm typing with a different color. Sorry, folks. There we go. Okay. Let's double click all of this. Highlight it. Adobe Live is. And let's turn this to Montserrat right quick. I'm trying to be mindful of the time because I know we're cutting it very close. We'll turn this to like a semi-bold and make sure that this is up above everything, and we will also change the color to this color. Adobe Live is, how are we doing on time? We got about 3 minutes, okay? And I am going to make this smaller and kind of put this down here. We're going to use our grid snapping to just make sure that it is in the center. And we're going to say wicked. Adobe Live is super wicked, so we're going to have our little Adobe Live is wicked there. And I think that we can also come over here and make ourselves like a little paragraph of text here, which we will also turn to Montserrat. Boom. We will make this a little bit smaller to give us a couple of lines of text, okay? Let's bump that down. We can come over to our character panel and turn this to a smaller spacing between here. I think I'll key that up like that. And we can change this font text to something that is darker. You could come in and do something interesting where maybe some of this is bold instead of regular. You could change the color of some of these to be something that is slightly different, just to give it an interesting flair. How are we doing on time? Got about a minute and a half. And just do some interesting stuff here. I might remove this right quick, just because I don't think that we need all of that, because maybe you're saying something and you can bolden some of these words where you need a pop of like, hey, look at me, you know, for some of these phrases. We could come in and grab, maybe we just put like a circle over here. Maybe there's a logo for this post in the corner here. We can make this our blue color, like so, and just kind of throw this in our corner over here, okay? And maybe we line up some more text over here. Let's click our text over here on this edge, and add, let's Control J or Command J if you're on a Mac, and we can slide this over here. We can make it a thin. Maybe we can make this thin. Looks like that is in Myriad Pro and not Montserrat, so I'll change that in a little bit, but let's make this thin. Let's make it smaller. And you can see we can just like start adding stuff all around the edges to make kind of a interesting dynamic post. I think that is all the time that I have for today. I think I gotta take off before I get cut off here, but you can see how this could be fun. Suddenly the strange shapes and all the weird text and things can be arranged into kind of an attractive post. Kind of an interesting little piece that could go on Instagram or something here. So I can't wait to see what you folks make. I do have to blow this popsicle stand because I don't want to get cut off at the end here, but thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed today's challenge, and I will see you tomorrow morning. Adios, folks.